I thought we could try another interlude. So we've had one interlude for exceptions. How about an interlude for a special thing called a deconstructor? Was ist eine Deconstructor? What a deconstructor is when your variable, when your new class variable, your new thing, let's get rid of this stuff down here. When your new thing goes out of scope, or you destroy it, or it disappears, or it kind of disappears from the memory system, and that will definitely happen here, right down the bottom of the program. At this point here, main, once we get to the end of the main function, when we get down to here, C++ will destroy all objects and go into the heap and empty the heap. Anyway, when that gets destroyed, the last thing that is done before it gets destroyed is the deconstructor. We've had a constructor, and we can see that constructor here. We also we don't have to do anything, it's already kind of there invisibly. We can explicitly put a deconstructor. Now why might you want that? Well, you might be linking to a database, and inside the constructor you check if you've connected to a database, and if you haven't, you connect to a database. And in the deconstructor you might say, just before the object gets destroyed and wiped, it's kind of like the last cigarette if you're being shot by the French army in the First World War at Verdun for desertion. You can run this last little bit of code just before anything comes, like shutting down the database connection. So, special thing about this, it looks a lot like the constructor, if you want to put an explicit one in. So, it's got the name of the class. One last little thing about it, though, it has a tilde in front of it. Now, here's another thing about this. You cannot have a void or an int or a double or anything being returned by this thing, because it's just about to die. You know, a man with a cigarette who's just about to be shot by the firing squad doesn't really care about handing anything back. The other thing, you can't send it anything in here, and you certainly can't overload it. So you get one of these, it's a one-time operation. With this you can get many of them depending on the number of variables that you're overloading it with. With this one, it's a one-off operation, so you'll see there's either never or once, and that's it. Okay, now let's go into the C++ file, and just like the bond constructor that we have there, typically we'd put it after the constructors. It looks the same as a constructor, only there's no arguments to it, and it must have a tilde in front of it. There we go, that's it. Now you can put anything you kind of want in here, so no parameters coming in, so you can't use parameters to decide what to do. It doesn't return anything, it just kind of ends, smokes a cigarette and ends. So you might put out a little message. Smoking a final cigarette. Must have been found by Destructor or somebody. And that could be shutting down a database connection, or you know, sending a message to somebody saying we're finished for the night, or whatever it is. So you can have a deconstructor. It's the last thing run before an object disappears. It's a bit like a car. I think we've been using car as an analogy for the object. This is a car crusher. So this deconstructor is a car crushing machine, and you're going to get a nice cube of memory at the end of this, which can be melted down and turned into something else later. Anyway, hopefully that's okay. That is quite simple, really. We might see a couple of these later on. That is a deconstructor. See you next time.